Josh, what's up, dude?
What's up, Zach? How are you, man?
I'm great. It's good to hear from you. Good to have you on the show.
Yeah, thanks so much for putting this together, man. It looks like you put a lot of effort into this. It's quite a headliner lineup that you've got there. So excited
It's
for
the
the day and excited for tomorrow as well.
community. You know it. You're part of it. So
Yep.
we have a lot of fun over here. And for a lot of people on this call, no rokrbox and probably have worked with you, but maybe introduce yourself a little bit and talk to us about what you guys are doing.
Yeah, my name is Josh Cunningham. I'm the founder and CEO at rokrbox. Of course, rokrbox is the premium ISA solution for Boomtown and Sync account owners. I started the company almost 7 years ago, 7+ years ago, working very closely with Spring from Utah. And she had a Boomtown account a long time ago, had a lot of the same frustrations that most people do with, speed to lead and follow up. And so I set out on a mission to crack this code and figure out how to solve this problem once and for all. And that's the mission that we've been on over the last 7 years. We've handled over 2 million internet leads, and we've hired and trained over 300 inside sales assistants. So I don't know if you've ever attempted that just one time, but we've done it time and time again. It's a very well-oiled machine, and so we're very proud to help hundreds of the top producing real estate professionals from coast to coast close thousands of deals every single year by with our assistants by helping them find those golden nuggets. So that's what a rokrbox is. It's a gold mining tool.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, so that's where we got the name from. We're a gold mining tool for helping you find those little flakes of gold in that giant mass of online leads that most people get buried in.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the problem we help solve. Yeah.
And knowing that, I thought you would be really good to talk about just what you're seeing in lead conversion in general. And you 2 million leads. How many ISAs? How many people do you guys actually have calling on these leads?
So our model, we're based out of College Station, Texas, which is home to Texas A&M University. So all of our callers are homegrown, U.S. based. English is their primary language, and that's our talent pool where we find these very sharp and enthusiastic young professionals who are at a university town to build their skills and build their career. And that's our talent pool. So at any given time, we have anywhere from between 40 and 50 part-time callers on our team. And that's how we keep the energy high, is by having little short 4-hour shifts throughout the day. But over our time, over the last several years, 7 years plus, we've hired and trained over 300, and we have really great retention. And most of our students, walk the stage with multiple job offers, or they're getting whatever internship program they want to get into because they've got all these amazing, skills that they've acquired while they were in school at a part-time job. So yeah, right now we've got about 40 to 50 part-time callers on the team.
Very cool. Yeah, I actually remember I was at Jeff Cohn's summit. What was it, year and a half ago? Back when we could do live events, right?
Yeah. Seemed like a decade ago, huh?
Seemed like a decade ago. I met a few of your rokrbox guys out there, and super impressive. Definitely enthusiastic people. Very high energy, and I think, how do you build? It's part of who you hire, but what do you guys do that's part of your culture, right? What do you do are there things you're doing to try and keep that high energy and, yeah.
Well, we learn the hard way, as most people do with lessons, that, it is a very important foundation to build the right culture for people to do this type of work in. Because, again, what we're doing is we're calling cold leads
so hard,
all day, every day, like clockwork. And I don't know if you've ever done that before, but sometimes it gets a little boring, and sometimes you face some rejection, and sometimes you interrupt people on a crappy day. And so the first summer that we had, exponential growth way back in like 2015, we were hiring up a bunch of, people, bringing them on the team, building some good camaraderie, building some good competition, having people learn from each other. And that September, something happened in our college town that actually happens every September, which is school starts back up. And we had built up this really great team, but then as soon as they started feeling the challenges of their classes and their extracurriculars, and they want to go to the football games and things like that, we had almost nearly half of our team just bailed on us. Said, "Hey, great summer job, man. This was a lot of fun, but school's starting up now, so maybe I'll join next summer, right?" And that's when we realized we had failed them as an organization to really make it clear that this was the first step in their young professional career. that the skills that they were going to gain in this role, the experiences that they were going to have, and the connections that they're going to make, we're going to give them something that they couldn't get inside the classroom, and that was going to help differentiate them from their peers and help them earn more money than their peers. So that was, again, in the very early days when we realized, oopsie daisy, we failed to make it clear to these young professionals that this is really important work, that this can help take them to new heights in their life. So that's when we started really doubled down on the culture building tools. We implemented a daily huddle, which is something that's really important, really key to getting our shifts started off on the right foot. We implemented masterminds into our own organization. I'm sure many of you have paid a pretty penny to fly to some exotic location and go mastermind with other real estate professionals, but how many of you do it within your own organization? It's been a huge tool, huge key to our growth and development over time, because we bring all of our employees together once a month. We have everybody stand up and share with us the one thing they think that we're doing really well, the one thing that they think that we can improve on. And then, of course, we write down all these ideas and brainstorm and come up with new solutions together. So, masterminds, we have skill building workshops. We have a really well organized org chart, and we only promote from within, so people can very clearly see, the path that they can move up through over their next couple of years while they're in school. So I've given lots of keynote presentations on our culture building tools. We've got a bunch of them on our Facebook account. If you go to facebook.com/rokrbox and give us a like, we put all of our keynotes and presentations up there. But just a lot of the culture tools that we've implemented. The difference maker, Zach, is that we've made the work fun, we've made it meaningful, we've made it exciting, we've made it fruitful, and that's just what a lot of people don't do when they look at this type of work, because it's like, oh yeah, calling the cold leads. Oh, nobody wants to do that. Okay, who are we going to find to do that work that nobody wants to do? And it's just that attitude from the very beginning that creates that crumbling environment that you're going to try to bring someone in and build them up and build their skills and invest in them and coach them, when you've already looked at it as like lesser work, right? So that's what we've done. We've removed the work. Our headquarters in College Station is a very rich culture, and we show up, we have a group huddle, we set goals, we hold each other accountable, we celebrate our successes, all the cliche things that you need in a high productive sales environment. Gongs all around the office being rung throughout the shift.
I love it.
Yeah, exactly. So, all those types of things that people know that they should be doing. It's just that we wake up every single day and actually commit to doing it. So that's what the difference maker is. And
I think, I did link, by the way, I linked the facebook.com/rokrbox in the comments. So make sure you give that a look. And I think I heard one of your keynotes on that a while back, which is coming to mind now. But I think mindset and just having a culture that allows either your agents or ISAs or whoever it is to come into an office with a mindset each day, because converting a cold lead, converting any lead is so hard. And mindset is your number one tool for doing that. If you come in with the right mindset, you've got the right attitude, and you can do that day in, day out, you're instantly going to see a boost in your conversion ratios, right?
Certainly. Yeah. And surrounding yourself with other people on a common mission, it's always hard to be the lone wolf. In fact, probably the greatest milestone that we ever achieved at RokrBox, initially we were bootstrapping the business and beta testing anything we could get our hands on, just pouring resources into work to figure out what was the highest return. But the greatest milestone we ever achieved was when we had enough work to do that we actually had more than one person in the office, because that's really when people's their learning curves just grew exponentially. It creates competition. It creates a learning environment. There's so much more advancing that you can have when you're just no longer that lone wolf, but you're actually surrounding yourself with other like-minded individuals on a common mission.
It's a lot more fun to get rejected when the guy next to you just got rejected too, and you can look over and laugh about it and then make the next call, right?
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
That's the name of the game.
So shifting a little bit here, there's obviously the mindset side of converting leads and cold leads, but maybe a little more tactically and just state of the economy right now and everything that's happening with COVID. What are some of the shifts that you've seen in the lead conversion game in general?
Yep. I think you're seeing it everywhere in headline news that online search is up, right? Everybody was required at a certain point in time to have to go lock themselves up in their house. And so a lot of people, had a lot of free time on their hands and started searching for homes on the internet. And as we know, a lot of those searches actually turned into conversions and transactions. So I think all across the board, whether you're talking to people who are providing leads, whether you're talking to someone like us who converts leads, whether you're talking to real estate teams that are actually closing the leads, everything's been up. it's been feeling really good lately over the last couple of months. Now, where this is actually going to take us, where this is going to go, there's a lot of people that speculate in different ways. But obviously, the most important thing is to hold on to what you've got, right? And to stay focused and stay involved in the right activities that you know you need to be involved in. And I'm sort of starting to sense now that people have been feeling some good months now for a little too long. And so I'm actually currently in the process of reading one of my favorite books, Fanatical Prospecting.
I
With Jeff
love that
Blount.
book. I love
Yeah.
that you just brought it. It's so good.
I read it once a year with my leadership team. But the most important aspect of this that I wanted to highlight today is the 30-day rule here in chapter 5. And the 30-day rule is very, 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 very simple. It simply says that the prospecting that you do in this 30-day period is going to pay off for the next 90 days. So for example, if you miss a day of prospecting, it's going to bite you sometime in the next 90 days. If you miss a week, you're going to feel it in your commission check. But if you miss an entire month, you're going to tank your pipeline, fall into a slump, and wake up 90 days later, desperate, feeling like a loser with no clue how you ended up there. Right. And so this is a good reminder right now, guys, because I know everybody goes into their winter slump. They want to go into hibernation mode, right? You've fed yourself fat this summer. You know, you closed a bunch of deals. Maybe you had a record year like a lot of other people did. And now you go into your state of hibernation. And what's going to happen is you're going to wake up in January after not having done any prospecting, after not having followed up with any of these leads, after not having worked the people that aren't necessarily ready to go now, right? Your long-term nurture leads, those people you still need to remember and stay in front of. If you're not doing anything with them right now, you're going to wake up in January feeling exactly like you said. You know, your pipeline is empty. You're going to fall into a slump. You're going to feel like a desperate loser with no clue how you ended up being there. So it's all about activity, man. Like, no need to sit here engage into a crystal ball and to figure out what's going to happen, you know, with the economy and with COVID and all this other stuff. You just got to focus in the mirror, right? What are the things that you can do? What can you do and commit to each and every day to make sure that you're focusing on your pipeline? Because the activities that you're involved in today are going to be what you're going to be closing in January. So please avoid the tendency to want to go into hibernation coming into November, December, and the holiday time here. So that's really the most important thing that that is sort of on top of my mind right now. One of the other things that I'm really excited to see come 2021 is every single year I read through the NAR study on whenever they poll the home buyers, and you know, they're polling them and trying to determine what their behavior is. And there's one question on there that I'm super interested in every single year. I'm gonna see if I can actually share my screen here. Are you going to allow me? Let's see here.
And I can throw it up on the screen.
Okay, yeah, there we go. So I got this PDF shared. You see that?
Yep.
So this, yeah, if you look at the NAR report, the trends report, this is the 2020 report. You go all the way down here, and this is the one I'm always looking at, is the primary reason for the timing of a home purchase. And this is the reason why. As you can see here, it's a multiple choice answer. You're given all these different things like, oh, it was the best time because of availability of homes. It was the best time because of improved affordability of homes. This seems to be what people's excuses this year. Oh, well, it was the best time because of mortgage financing options, right? Well, in years past, these were never the top answer, right? 3%, 5%, 12%. What is the top answer, though, is that it was just the right time. It was just the right time. No logic applied whatsoever. And the reason why I share this year after year with everybody is because what that proves to us is that purchasing a home is still very much an emotional decision. It was just the right time, right? I mean, there's literally like logical answers there, like affordability, availability, financing options. So I'll be curious to see what the report looks like next year, because a lot of experts are saying there's a surge in home sales because of all these mortgage rates and stuff. But I'd still be willing to bet that a lot of these home purchases are still driven from some emotional internal trigger. Maybe people were bored, maybe people were at home and they got sick and tired of their house or whatever that might have been. There could be some logic applied there, but at the end of the day, it's still, for most people, is very much an emotional decision. So that's why when it comes to generating online leads and converting online leads, I mean, essentially what you're doing is you're creating a huge magnet. You're casting a wide net on a bunch of cold people. And so it's very important that you stay in front of those cold people, because life happens, right? Situations change. And as we all know, buyers are liars, right? So whatever they told you a month ago might not be the same thing next month. And so that's why you need to stay in front of these people. You need to stay on top of your calls, stay in front of your database, keep sending out valuable content that is actually enriching their lives. Because again, we don't know what's going to happen. All you can control is the activities and the actions that you're involved in on a day-to-day basis. So really excited to see what that report's going to tell us next year, but I'd still be willing to bet that the top answer is that it was just the right time. So got to be sure to be present and be there at that right time, whenever it is for your prospects.
Josh, where could somebody find that report? Is there a website?
Let's see. Let me see. It's produced by NAR. Let me see if I can just maybe drop
the
it
link
here.
We have a private chat here. If you drop it here, I can drop it back in the Facebook.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah. Yeah, I downloaded the PDF, so I'll see if I can find that real quick, and then
if not, email it to me. I can throw it in the links to this as well afterwards, if people could access it. You said it's a NAR report.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Let me Google it real quick and see if I can find it. Yeah, there we go.
Shocking. It says that humans are emotional and they make emotional decisions.
Right, exactly. Who would have ever thought that? Especially with the largest financial transaction that most people are going to be involved in. Yeah, I'm going to drop it right here in the chat. There's the link, and it's a PDF you can download. There's tons and tons of information there. I'd spent a good amount of time studying this each year, and I highly recommend each and every one of you do as well. Because as much as we think that technology moves fast, but I always like to say people move slow. There's all sorts of gadgets and gizmos and things that encourage our ability to, create efficiencies in our life. But if you look at the actual trends of human behavior, that tends to move a lot less slower.
Okay. Very cool. No, I love it. That's good insight. So a question I wanted to ask you, and I've been hearing this from a lot of people, and curious if you're seeing this trend as well, but saying that answer rates, just the ability to get someone on the phone, are going way up. Did you see that when everyone was locked up at home, and are you still seeing that?
Yeah, actually, let me share with you again another document I have here. This is what I like to call our customer lifecycle team of experts. Let me see if I can pick the right thing here. Nope, that's not it. Sometimes these, if you have too much stuff open, it doesn't want to share.
17 windows with 20 tabs each open.
Yeah, here we go. I'll just share my entire screen if that'll work. And then just move over here. All right. You can see my screen?
I'm turning it on. And I'm going to add this. Nice. Okay. Yep, we're seeing it.
So this is all about conversion, and you're talking about different steps of the pipeline. A lot of people do a lot better when they have a visual representation of what is being happening here. But this is essentially the math of what it takes to turn a complete stranger into a happy and satisfied customer. And this is kind of national trends that we've followed, year to year to year. And so basically what I'm saying is things are a little up than what they've used to be. But here's kind of a general rule of thumb. I like to call it the 10% rule. So in order to generate a closing from a cold online lead, you essentially need to start with about 1,000 cold visitors to your website. And so there's lots of different ways that you guys can attract traffic to your website. You invest in, Google, you invest in all sorts of third-party leads. There's social media that can drive traffic to your website. But essentially, you need to generate about 1,000 visitors to your website, and then they land on, let's say, your Boomtown or your Sync website. Now, once they start searching for a couple of homes, if you're not familiar with this, the website's actually going to force them into a registration. So this is why it's such a cold lead, is because it's a forced registration, unlike Zillow or some of the other third-party sites. So for every 1,000 visitors that you have on your website, as soon as the website asks for a registration, about 90% of them just bail on you. They don't give you their information. They skip out. They go looking for the information that they want on another website. So again, the 1,000 registered, or the 1,000 visitors becomes 100 registrations. Now, in our space at rokrbox, we're all about finding those golden nuggets, right? Finding those hot and motivated buyers and sellers. And as we know, the 100 registrations are not all hot buyers and sellers. So you've really got to work these people through a very diligent process to call them a whole bunch of times, text them, as well as email, stay in front of them very persistently, consistently over time. And what you'll typically get is, again, about another 10% yield. So 100 of the registrations will turn into about 10 opportunities. And what we say is an opportunity is someone who said they want to buy a home in the next 90 days. Now, again, we all know that not everybody, some people have a little bit of wishful thinking as far as what they can qualify for, maybe what the circumstances might be. So those 10 people that raised their hand and said that they want to buy a home are now put into the lap of a real estate professional. And as real estate professionals, the number one myth that you must understand is that you don't actually sell homes. What you sell is professional services. And so it's up to you to convert this prospect to a client, right? And get them to sign paperwork to agree to do business with you. That's actually the sell in real estate, is you converting someone to a client. At that point, you then have to service those clients, right, that you've now brought into your clientele by showing them properties, negotiating offers, right, holding the deal together, everything that you need to do. And then what we know is you have some fabulous software like Sisu to track all of your closings and track your conversion rates, is that that'll typically wind up in one closing, right? So that's where you get that general, I'm sure you hear it all the time, people talk about that 1% conversion from registration to opportunity. Well, these are all the steps in the funnel that you need to be aware of. And like you said, you can really increase your production. You can double or triple your productivity by just changing one of these things a little bit, right? It's not about doubling or tripling everything. It's just about really making some minor improvements to each one of these steps along the way that's going to magnify the results on the back end. And then, of course, I have the 10% referral and repeat business that you get by staying in touch with your database on the back end through someone like viral marketing. But that's essentially the math. It's 10% rule each step of the funnel. And again, it's not perfect, but it's a good sort of barometer for you to look at your funnel and investigate each step of the process. Visit to lead opt-in ratios. Those would be something that, if you're shopping around different lead sources, you'd want to know what those were. Yeah. Again, when you're getting the registrations, you're going to want to know how many warm leads did you actually pull out of those. It's one thing to collect a bunch of names and phone numbers and email addresses, but you got to actually invest something into them to get something out of it. And at that point, once you've got the people to raise your hand, what does your process look like at that point? Are you bringing people into the office? Are you just showing up and unlocking the door? Do you have a buyer presentation that you're giving people? Is it digital? Is it physical? Is it in person? Is it over Zoom, right? All those different ways that you can sort of inspect your sales funnel and find different ways to tweak them and increase your closing percentage. But to answer your question, Zach, yeah, essentially registrations are up, contact rates are up, opportunities are up, and conversion rates are up. It's been a good summer for the funnel, so to speak.
Yeah, you worked with Spring, so great mindset there. But their whole thing when all of this was happening was, hey, transactions might be down 50%, maybe, but we know competition's down 80%. And if we're the ones pounding the phones right now, we're going to be the ones that are top of mind. We're going to capture market share. And they did. They actually crushed it April, May. So.
Yep, exactly.
Stephanie was asking 1,000. So that's 1,000 visitors a month, and you're hoping to capture 10% of those, and 10% of those could turn into like an appointment.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Okay. So yeah, 1,000 visitors to the website, if you're generating about 100 registrations a month, like if you have a Boomtown site or a Sync site and you're generating, about 100 cold registrations, if you go in, you can actually, there's a couple reports and stuff kind of buried in the options, but you can go in and actually see how many visitors you had on the site.
Oh,
so
nice.
You can actually see that yourself. But it's roughly about, a 10% conversion. So you might have actually had 1,000 visitors that landed on your website in a 1 month period of time, and 900 of them just bailed out, and 100 of them actually registered. So yeah, it's very common. Most of our clients generate anywhere between 150 to 200 new registrations a month. So, they would be probably having about 1,500 to 2,000 visitors. So but that's what it takes to generate a closing, in this cold online lead environment, because again, this isn't your database. It's not someone that knows, likes, and trusts you. It's someone that you baited in with some keywords and phrases. They landed on your website, which is a great resource for them. But at that point, you sort of got to get out there and introduce yourself and let them know how you can be of service to them and how you can actually help them solve their real estate problems.
Very cool.
So that's why, again, it's why we call ourselves rokrbox. It's a lot of work that goes into it. But as you know, those old gold miners back in the day, they would pan for gold all day long, because if you find just one little nugget, it makes your entire day's efforts worthwhile.
So I was reading a book, and I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on it. It's a big book in the software community that's called it's from impossible to inevitable. Mm-hmm. And it talks a lot about separating closers from prospectors, right? Which is kind of controversial, but they're totally different games, right? Prospecting and setting appointments is a different game. And you talk about that funnel going from cold leads to appointment. Then you had those two little question marks, which is what's going to happen when you get the appointment. What are your thoughts? I mean, because obviously Rockerbox is a model where you're kind of separating your prospecting from your closers, right? And around that.
Yeah, so the way that we look at the work that we do is we're like an online concierge, and you want to think of your website as like an online retail store for shopping for homes. And I got my start way back in high school working for Best Buy, selling computers for Best Buy way back in the day. And a lot of people don't know it, but Best Buy in like the 90s made a shift. Their company was almost about to die, but they made a significant shift to go from commission sales to non-commission sales. So again, I don't know if anybody remembers walking into like a consumer electronics retail store in the 90s, but it was a very uncomfortable feeling because you've got all this new cutting edge technology, and then you have these commission salespeople like breathing down your neck, and you just like feel the uncomfortability. So that's why it made a huge change in the 90s. They went non-commission sales. I was privileged to join the company in the 90s when I was in high school, and became a non-commission sales guy. And so that's how I kind of learned how to sell, was from a consultative approach, from coming to serve people, learning to ask questions to figure out what their lifestyle needs are, and then help translate that into whatever products or services that you have to offer. So I got a really good foundation. Again, like I said, that was my first sales job ever, but that's essentially the same type of attitude and the same type of role that we take at Rockerbox when we're calling all these cold leads across the internet. These people register online for a home. They don't necessarily, they didn't go online and search for real estate agents to hire, right? That's not the keywords that you're paying for. It's homes for sale. Again, people are searching for homes. What you sell is professional services. So you have to come to them in a way from contribution, right? You need to. Most people want to figure out like all the wonderful, exciting things we're going to tell their leads about their company and how super important they are. That's the exact opposite thing that you want to do, right? You make the conversation all about the other person on the other end of the phone. You ask them their questions. You listen to understand, right? You truly absorb what their needs and their frustrations are, and then you prescribe, right, what solutions that they need, because you're an expert, you're an authority figure. So it's just a much more consultative approach to help get these people the answers that they want in the way that they'd like to receive them. And so that first step, it doesn't require a high degree of being that closer, like you talked about, right? A closer is someone who's going to have like hyper local market knowledge. They've got their objection handlers. They've heard every single one in the book. They're practicing them, reciting them, and they're just like rolling up their sleeves in the parking lot about to walk into the
what
listing
most people on this call probably are. They are that person that,
Yep.
yeah.
So you don't necessarily need that level of expertise to simply filter through, these visitors on your online retail store, so to speak. So it's the first step that you want to take is it's consultative online concierge type of approach. It's a customer service call, right? And then when you find hot and motivated leads, then that's when you actually need to, step up your game. It's time to shine. It's time to prove why you should be the person who they should trust to engage in their largest financial transaction in their life. Because again, they're out shopping for homes. You're the one trying to sell them professional real estate services. So you have to help them understand and identify how you're going to help them solve their problems. So that's the big key there is again, using your expertise when it's needed, right? And not wasting it when it's not, right? So if you have that high of a level of expertise and you're a closer, doesn't make sense for you to be wasting your time all day long calling a bunch of cold leads on a dialer, right? Because you can execute and you can fulfill that role with less experience and less expertise. So it's all about investing your expertise in the highest income producing activity that you can be, which is talking to motivated buyers and sellers.
Yeah, I think when you closers typically that have that skill set, that's what they're passionate about, that's what they want to do. And when they have those buyers, they're ready to go, they're like, let's rock and roll, and they forget about the prospecting. And that's why a lot of people either move to like a Rockerbox where your prospecting actually is kind of like plug and play, just plug into your guys' systems and it's ready to go. Or they're even separating within their internal team, an ISA team versus their agents that are actually going on appointments, appointments that are set for them, and then maybe work in their sphere a little bit, of course, right? But yeah, I love it, man. Awesome content. JC said, great content and tips as always. Totally agree, man. You crushed it. We linked Rockerbox's Facebook page. Make sure you go check them out. check out the keynotes on culture. None of this really matters if you don't have the right culture for it and you don't have the right mindset. So make sure you give that a look. And Josh, anything else, man, before we let you go?
I was just gonna say thanks for the feedback, JC, and Zach. That hat is super cool, man. You got to send me one.
I got to get you on, huh? Yeah,
I
if
know.
you'll record, I'll get you on. Good stuff. Thanks,
Yep.
Josh.
Hey, thanks for having me, Zach.
Yeah, we're going to take a 2-minute break here by request. I think we're moving a little too fast through the sessions. We have Marilyn coming on next. She'll be on here with me in just a minute. And we are actually going to, Josh, it's interesting. We were just talking about this. We're going to talk about selling your value proposition as a brokerage or as a team back to your agents, because sometimes you have that value proposition, but you're not focused on selling it to your team, to your employees, to your agents. So, Josh, thanks, man. We'll probably 2-minute break here, and then we'll pop back on with Mary.
Yeah, keep crushing it, man.
Yep. Thanks, guys. We'll be in touch.